Hello, and thanks for joining us. I'm Craig Hemingway, Director of Strategic Growth for the City of Moose Jaw, and joined by Derek Blais, our Director of Community Services for the City of Moose Jaw. Derek, thanks for taking some time.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Craig.
You may have heard at the April 28th regular meeting of Moose Jaw City Council, Council discussed a proposed zoning bylaw amendment for 4 units as of right in the residential zones in the city. And they have tabled that matter to the May 12th regular meeting where they will vote on it. And so we're here to provide some information on the amendment and clear up some questions that have come forward. And I guess the first one, Derek, what is 4 units as of right?
Yeah, it's a great question and not something we hear very often. So what it means is that it's a regulatory change within our zoning bylaw that allows for up to 4 residential units on a single lot in our R1, R1A, and R1B residential zoning districts. It allows them to be constructed as a permitted use. And it really means that homeowners or builders could construct duplexes, triplexes, or fourplexes in the future within these zones, provided that they meet minimum lot size requirements, parking requirements, and any other development standards that are currently in place within our zoning bylaw, without requiring any type of rezoning or discretionary use application or a public hearing that would go to council. It kind of removes that layer and allows it strictly to be an administrative review for approval, again, as long as those other standards are met.
A lot of questions and concerns about those development standards, and we'll touch on those in a little bit. But I guess the first question then after that is, why are we applying to make this change?
Yeah, so the biggest reason is related to our infrastructure funding. And when we say infrastructure funding, that is funding that's provided from other levels of government, primarily the federal and provincial governments, to upgrade our city infrastructure. That can include our water lines, our sewer lines, our storm networks. The city relies heavily on that funding to be able to continue to offer those services to our community. If it was something that the city's tax base had to fund, it wouldn't be feasible. Property taxes, utility costs, whatnot would definitely rise. So it's very important that we're able to access these levels of funding to be able to continue to upgrade, renew, enhance, and prepare for future growth.
Yeah, and for those that have been maybe following council, even going back as far back as January, we've made some applications needing council approval to make applications to some of these federal funds for these infrastructure projects, and contingent upon city council adopting 4 units as of right in the city in the zones we've referenced. And you know, the biggest of all those projects is for the Crescent View Headworks facility replacement. It's about a $66 million project the city's trying to get accomplished, which would then allow us to increase our sewer capacity that would allow for growth, because right now we're just not there and we don't have it. So that's such a critical one if we're ever going to grow the city. And so that federal grant itself, over $26 million, and then additional requests were made in the last couple of months to the same program, with the same requirements that the city adopt 4 units as of right for both water main replacement and for east feeder main replacement. And so those are just 3 and likely more underway. And these are the federal standards. That's what they require, is us to pass this 4 units as of right to be eligible for this money. And we've yet to hear back if we've been approved for those funds, but this is a critical piece of that, right?
Yeah, no, that's correct. And yeah, so we have 3 active applications that are in right now, totaling a request of approximately $34 million through the Canada Housing Infrastructure Fund, CHIF program. And there's another stream that'll be opening up here shortly. It's a territorial provincial stream, which we're also looking at applying, but also has a requirement to implement this 4 units as of right zoning change. So yeah, it's something that the city didn't necessarily bring forward. It's just a new requirement in order to be able to access these federal dollars that are extremely important for our community and for our residents.
And there haven't been, like, you know, this is not because of there's pending developments, people coming and saying they're ready to go and start building fourplexes. That wasn't a cause of this either.
No, there's no active developments that are currently being planned. Again, this is strictly a regulatory change that's going to allow for soft implementation of these units into the future. It's nothing. We won't see any big dramatic changes to our city overnight with these changes. Again, it's just essentially a way that the federal government is looking to increase housing supply, knowing what the housing situation is in our country and even within our community. I think we've seen that through our 2024 housing needs assessment, which was presented to council in February. So it's we need to look at creative ways to be able to enhance our housing options within our community. And the intent of I guess the federal government in this case is to implement some regulatory changes that will help streamline that process and remove some red tape, as they call it, and hopefully get some more homes built without dramatically changing the traditional context of our neighborhoods. Often a duplex or a triplex or even a fourplex can sometimes be confused with like an apartment building or a townhouse. This is not what this is. This is basically, it's the same as maybe a larger style home that you would see, but that has 4 separate units within. It would be built to the same standard as probably most of the homes on that block. And it would require to meet all their development standards, which includes things like parking. There'll be still setback requirements. There's a number of things that would need to happen or need to, I guess, be approved before final permit is provided.
Yeah, could you detail a little more as some of the development standards that'll be in place?
So right now, majority of these developments, minimum lot frontage, there's a 15-meter, 50 feet requirement there. There's requirements for lot depth, lot area, building height. So again, this is going to help maybe calm some of the fears around, oh, there's going to be a big apartment building going up next to me. No, there's height maximums and whatnot on these triplexes and fourplexes. There's yard setback requirements, and then parking. There's required to be 1 on-site parking stall per unit. So, which means there has to be a dedicated parking stall within the property in order for the development to proceed. So, street parking is not considered in that calculation.
Will single-family homes be torn down because of this zoning change?
Not unless, I guess, the property owner decides to do so. 1-unit dwellings will remain a permitted use in these areas, and these homes can still be maintained, renovated, replaced, rebuilt under our current processes. So there's no requirement to demolish existing homes. In that scenario, what would happen is whoever the developer or builder is would have to put together a business case as to how much is it going to cost to acquire that property, demolish what's there, and then rebuild and still be able to put a business case together as to whether it'll be affordable for whoever will be living in there. So it's again, it's more of a regulatory change that would allow for that, but we don't see a huge uptake coming from this right off the bat.
Another common question we've heard since letters were sent to affected residents in those zones was about the increase and potential strain on our infrastructure. How do we answer that?
Yeah, so when you look at let's take a fourplex, for example. 4 units within what would normally be categorized as potentially just a large house. Say it's couples, bachelor suites, different things like that. You look at a large family with 6 people, you compare to how many people would live in a 4, not a whole lot of difference there. So these types of units are considered low to middle density, which helps in not providing a whole lot of additional strain on traffic, on our water services, sewer services, whatnot. So again, they're not like an apartment building or anything that houses a lot of people. These will the density will remain largely the same as it currently is.
Right, and that's important to note as well that infrastructure and capacity is one of the points that are looked at when new developments come to City Hall. So new developments aren't approved if our infrastructure can't handle it, and so that all that work is done beforehand. So nothing's going to get approved if our infrastructure can't handle it. And again, back to the why and why we're applying for this is to get infrastructure funding so we can increase the capacity for our city to grow, correct?
Yeah, I know that's bang on. We do not issue any type of development or building permit until there's consultation with our engineering department on what the capacity is and whether the estimated peak water levels can meet that capacity. So those are all things that are still considered before a development permit or building permit would be issued in this case.
And we've discussed, federal funding the city's applying for. But for other federal grants, like, is there money available right now for a builder or developer if they would like to build a fourplex?
Yeah, we're not aware of any federal funding right now. And again, our infrastructure grant applications are focused just on our underground infrastructure primarily, and being able to upgrade and maintain our existing systems while being able to plan for the future. So we do have various, I guess, housing incentive options within the city, but there's no specific grants that we're aware of that would allow for a home builder or developer to apply and then tear down maybe a single unit dwelling and build a fourplex. I'm not saying that may come in the future, but we're not aware of that right now.
And why specifically were these areas chosen, the R1, R1A, and R1B, for this zoning amendment?
Yeah, so the CHIF requirements are very clear in the fact that municipalities over 30,000, which we fall into, require that all low-density residential areas with municipal serving have this 4 units as of right adopted within their zoning bylaw. So our R1, R1A, R1B areas are all low-density areas. Therefore, we are required to adopt it within these areas.
We do have the website, as mentioned, which you can find all this information on. And Derek, maybe before we let you go, a few things you want to maybe issue as reminders about the zoning amendment application?
Yeah, I'm gonna just close off here with just a few important notes here to consider. So again, this is a regulatory change. It doesn't mean that existing single-family homes will automatically be demolished or replaced with multi-unit buildings. The change simply removes zoning barriers so that more housing options can be created gradually over time, not overnight. The city is not planning or leading any housing construction projects in these neighborhoods, and I know we've received questions about the green space across from people's houses and whether all of a sudden there'll be a fourplex popping up there. We're not leading any of that, and again, to have something like that happen would require a lot more approvals and consultation with the community really before anything like that would happen. So that is not a part of this. Any new duplex, triplex, or fourplex development would be led by private property owners or developers. And that's, again, only if they choose to invest and if it makes financial sense for them, if they're able to apply a business case to this. So I guess at the end of the day, these changes will allow for faster permit approvals. It's going to create a bit more flexibility for the private sector and really help us meet our housing needs.
Yeah, well, thank you, Derek. And if you have any questions, you can visit, again, the City Moose Jaw website at moosejaw.ca, where we've got this full information on what's being proposed. Council will discuss and vote on this bylaw amendment at the May 12th regular meeting of Moose Jaw City Council. If you have questions, you can email planning@moosejaw.ca. Derek Blais, Director of Community Services, thanks for taking this time.
Yeah, thank you.